in the first verse it says, "Judge not that ye be not judged, for with what judgment ye judge, you shall be judged, and with what measure you mete, it shall be measured to you again." I got thinking, a lot of the guys, well, one of the guys I work with, he uses the Lord's name in vain a lot, and I never say anything to him or nothing. And he'll look at me and apologize to me, and I tell him all the time, I think I've said this a bunch here, but he's always telling me, I'm sorry for what I said, and I said, well, I'm not the one you got to answer to, and I don't judge him about it, and I try to talk to him about the Bible and stuff, but he's just one. It's kind of hard to talk to. And the other day we got to talking, and he told me we talking about praying and stuff, and I said I try to talk to the Lord every day, and if it ain't just prayer, sometimes I just talk to him like I talk to you all, just as a friend. And he told me, he said, yeah, every once in a while I'll talk to that man upstairs, and to me, if he saved you, and you should be every morning at least thank him for saving you and keeping you safe and all that. But another thing on this, I can't remember who preached it, or it was said one time, but a pastor went to his new church, and he was dressed in old raggedy clothes, pretty much, I guess you can say, looked homeless, and the whole church congregation was making fun of him, talking about him and all this stuff. Well, when he got up there, he took all the stuff off and told them, he said, I'll be back when this church gets right. And we can't judge for what somebody has and stuff, because I've seen some of the roughest people be some of the best Christians, or and things like that. But it says in number 3, and why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but considerest not the beam that is in thine own eye? Or how will thou say to thy brother, let me pull out the mote out of thine eye, and behold, a beam is in thine own eye? Thou hypocrite, first cast out the beam out of thine own eye, and then shalt thou see clearly to cast out the mote out of thy brother's eye. I got thinking on this too, that we have to be right with the Lord to help someone else, but if you're out here doing the same thing that this person's doing and trying to correct them, what good is it? Because if you're not right with the Lord this morning and not where we need to be, and I've done this before too, been in the wrong place. Well, this person over here and struggling for something or looking for something, or you need to be a light to them. But if you're over here not acting as a Christian and doing the same thing, what good is it that you're going to be able to talk to them when you're over here just making the same wrong? And I just got thinking too about how back when I've told this many times, when I was playing ball and out here getting caught up with the wrong kids and talking bad about people, judging people and all this, and then I had that one come up and ask me, he said, I thought you was a Christian, and that got me turned back around. But in that time, I should have been a light to our ball team and people in school and everything, but I was over here doing what I shouldn't have been doing, so I couldn't help somebody because I wasn't in where I needed to be. And it says, give not that which is holy unto the dogs, neither cast ye your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn again and rend you. Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and you shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. And it's funny how that was just asked just testified a while ago about asking God about trying to find his day that he got saved, and God had that little Bible laying there for him, and he got to open it and find it. So many things that we just ask, it may not be the way we needed or thought it was going to be, but I've said this many times. That time I was trying to get on the work of Dad growing up, I always wanted to, every time I got called out, I wanted to go, couldn't go, illegal, I guess. But every time he'd get called, I just wanted to go, and that's what I wanted to do. Well, I put in for that job. Well, I didn't get it, and they said they wouldn't hire family members and things like that. But then I start praying and searching, and then God gave me somewhere, I wouldn't say better, but I'm just, what I'm trying to say is he gave me what I was asking for, but he seen me going to a place in his way, and, I couldn't ask for a better place where I work at now. I mean, it does have its downside, but, I don't wake up dreading every morning to go into work, but that was one of my prayers answered, and I asked for it. Wasn't the way that I thought it was going to be, and the way that I asked, but he sees what we need in life. When you ask him, just be ready, because he'll give it to you, and it may be a year, it may be 2 years, it may be tomorrow. If you ask for it today, it may be tomorrow. Just be ready and thank him after he's blessed you of what what you prayed for and he's given you. For everyone that same verse. Number 9, or what man is there of you whom, if his son asks bread, he will give him a stone? Or if he asks a fish, will he give him a serpent? If ye then be evil, know how to give good gifts unto your children, how much more shall your Father which is in heaven give good things to them that ask him? I'm going to go back to verse 9 again. It says, or what man is there of you whom, if his son asks bread, will he give him a stone? I got to thinking on this is, if somebody comes up to ask you something or need help or something, how are you going to react to them? Are you going to be like, get away from me, go on, or are you going to be that Christian that God has made us to try to help? And I'm going to get to another part here in a minute, but as you get to thinking, you got to be careful for who you're helping. And I mean, there's so much, and it's bad because there's so many people out there that when you've seen other people help. And Mom gave me a story one time about a woman that she worked with. She used to help give people rides all the time. And I'm not saying this just as this for them, but you got to be careful because the guy ended up taking the woman's life. But just be careful, but try to help in a good way, and it may not just be in that situation. Somebody may need to be helped to, try to come and know the Lord better, and, if they're wanting, and I've been in bad days to where, they try to talk to you at work or something, and you just ain't having it, and it's just one of those days, and we got to try to be better and be ready for when those these questions come to try to help somebody, because you may just be the only way that they can come to church. Most of the time that guy I like to try to talk to, he rides with me about every day, and I may be the only light he ever sees, and to be able to try to get in the church, man, I need to be ready for the questions he has, and try not to, turn them away like I don't want to talk about it today or nothing like that, because like I said, that could be his or anybody's only way to come in the, try to get into church and get to know Jesus better. And verse 12 says, therefore all things whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, do you even so to them, for this is the law and the prophets. Enter ye in at the strait gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go in thread. Because strait is the gate, and narrow is the way which leadeth to life, and few there be that find it. And I got to think about, we get on these trails hiking, and how we was going one day, and it said it was like 3 or 4 miles. That felt like 20. But by the time you get there, it's because the way it is there's so many curves to get there. And once you finally get there, you're like, that felt a lot longer than what it should have been. But if we stay on the straight and narrow way, it's a lot easier path of walking with the Lord, instead of, well, I'm going back over here, start doing this. then you start struggling, then you try to get back on the right path for a little bit, and then you get back off the wrong path, and you just keep going in and out. It makes it a lot harder to try to stay close with Him, because I've been there. A lot of times I get off that wrong path and start going around that big curve and thinking, man, am I ever going to get to the end? And then I have to come back to Him and get back on the right path and try to stay on it. And then we all have bad days and work weeks, and I'll start drifting back off. But what I'm just trying to say is, let's just try to stay on the right path for the Lord this morning, so we can be ready for the ones that are lost and the ones that are struggling. They're trying to find a way. We got to try to stay straight, so when they start wanting to come and ask for these questions and things, to be ready for them. And, it says, beware of false prophets which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are raven with wolves. You shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes, or thorns, or figs of thistles? And like I said a while ago, there's so many people out there claiming to be God, so many people claiming to be Christians, and but then when you're around them and how they walk their life and how they talk and the things they do, there's so many out there that say, and this is where I tried to explain to some of the guys, like I said, at work and stuff, but they're like, why should I go to church? Why should I do this when this preacher over here just done this? Or this deacon that I know that goes to this church, the way he's talking to me over here, or even just a church man, it ain't got to be a preacher or deacon or nothing. But I've been asked that before. Like I said, I thought you went to church. I thought you was a Christian. But, there's so many out there of these false prophets to try to get people in. And I try to explain to them, God didn't hurt you. This person might have been the one, but God didn't hurt you. And, a lot of people say, well, they don't want to go to church because of how these other people are that say they go to church. But whether they might just come one day out of the way or not even come at all, but act like they are, we just got to be careful of the dangers that could be out there. And ye shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes or thorns or figs or of thistles? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire. Wherefore by their fruits ye shall know them. Not every one that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of God, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. Many will say to me that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name, and thy name have cast out many devils, and thy name done many wonderful works? And then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. And, I got to thinking too, I've had a lot of people tell me, well, God wouldn't send me to hell. I've been nice to this person. I helped the homeless. I helped the sick. I gave money. I done this. I done that. That don't matter. I mean, you want to help and be a good person, but don't do it because you think that's just how you're going to get to heaven, because it's not. You have to be born again, as we've taught through this whole Bible school, the ultimate rescuer. You have to be rescued by Him. I can't just go out here and be the nicest guy there. Let's say I never went to church or anything, but I was the nicest guy you've ever met. I would give you anything. I'd help you in any way, no questions asked. Never help nobody. That's not going to get me to heaven this morning. The only way you're going to get to heaven is we have to be born again, and I know most of y'all know that in here, but it just really stuck out to me of how many people I've talked to in my life that says, well, God wouldn't send me to hell for this. I've been so good to this people. I've gave so much of this. God wouldn't send me to hell. Well, He will if you've never, accepted Him. I don't care how much and how nice you've been in life. And, I told you a lot of times I used to be a rowdy, mean kid and getting up and today's time, I may still get hateful and be mean or whatever. So no, I'm not. I guess you could say the nicest person in the world, but I've been born again, and I mean I shouldn't be that way as a Christian. But like we said before, we have bad days and things like that. But like I said, say that person that's never had that bad day and been that nicest person in life, and then they split hell wide open because they never accepted him. And therefore, whosoever hears these sayings of mine and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man which built his house upon a rock. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon that house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock. I got thinking, the kids sing that song, which song I'm talking about, but building a house on the sand and stuff. How many times that when people come at us, try to bring us down, you got to have your house built on that, or your house. When I'm talking about house, I'm talking about spiritual house built on that rock foundation, because it's not the littlest things. If you built your house upon the sand, you're just going to crumble quick. We've got to have our foundation built rock steady to go against this evil, wicked world of things that is thrown at us. We got to have it built on that solid rock, so whatever's thrown at us, we won't fall off. And you think about the 3 little pigs, how they had to build their houses, and the big bad wolf come in, and that one finally built it the strongest out of all of them, and that big bad wolf couldn't get in. So we've got to try to keep it on the solid rock this morning, and try to keep the devil out, try to keep the false prophets and all that. But we've got to be ready and keep our foundation strong, And when I got to thinking about when these tornadoes come and they're calling for it, we got to be ready, got to be prepared for when they're calling for the dangers of things that's out there, getting to your safest place. If you're struggling with something and you don't want your foundation to crumble, and we just got to pray, get close back to the Lord this morning. And everyone that heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them not shall be likened unto a foolish man which built his house upon the sand. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat up that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. And it came to pass, when Jesus had ended these sayings, the people were astonished at his doctrine, for he taught them as one having authority and not as the scribes. And I got to thinking, I was wanting to get to where Jesus was teaching, like his disciples and things like that. Like I was telling you the other night, they ended up not getting to come today, but I had my little buddy with me, and he said that his girlfriend don't like coming or going to churches a lot because she's afraid she's going to be judged because she don't know a lot. But I know our church never would judge. But how are you going to learn about God if you ain't in church? How are you going to learn about God if you ain't hanging around the right people, staying away from these false people that say they claim to be this and that, but yet over here on Saturday night they're getting plumb going out of their minds because they're drinking or doing things they shouldn't. So we have to find our right people to be around, because you can get in the wrong crowd real quick. And but we got to stay in the Bible, stay in church. We got to help one another, put our foundation up on that solid rock and not the sand, to be able to help and keep our young ones that's out getting ready to go out in this world after graduating high school, keep them in, try to keep them going. But you also got to take a part of yourself and go in and study. You have questions, call one that's been here longer. And I'm sure Tim, if you had to call him and ask him a question about the Bible, he wouldn't care to help you at all and try to get better in teaching. I've called Dad many a times and Mom and them about questions about that I've had, and we just got to help one another this morning to help keep that foundation, because the main ultimate goal is to see someone saved. And like I said, if it could, even someone that is saved, back in this door, but been out in the world, you know, one little thing could maybe help that person to get back in the right track and get back with the Lord, and you know, and show a change in their life, be their extra part to their testimony. And that's all I've got this morning. If anybody else got any.
Chapter 11, verse 2, it says, "It came to pass in an eventide that David arose from off his bed and walked up on the roof of the king's house. And from the roof he saw a woman washing herself, and the woman was very beautiful and beautiful." And I might not get these names right, but then David sent and inquired after the woman. And the woman said, "Is not this Bathsheba, the daughter of Elon, the wife of Uri the Hittite?" And David sent messengers and took her, and she came in unto him, and he lay with her, for she was purified from her uncleanness, and she returned unto her house. And if we go over to chapter 12, verse 1, "And the Lord sent Nathan unto David, and he came unto him and said unto him, There were two men in one city, the one rich, the other poor. The rich man had exceeding many flocks and herds, but the poor man had nothing, save one ewe lamb, which he had bought and nourished up. And it grew up together with him and with his children. It did eat of his own meat and drank of his own cup, and laid in his bosom, and was unto him as a daughter. And they came a traveler unto the rich man, and he spared to take of his own flock, and of his own herd to dress for the wayfaring man that was come unto him, but took the poor man's lamb, and dressed it for the man that was come to him. And David's anger was greatly kindled against the man, and he said to Nathan, As the Lord liveth, the man that hath done this thing shall surely die, and he shall restore the lamb fourfold, because he did this thing, and because he had no pity. And Nathan said to David, Thou art a man. Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, I anointed thee king over Israel, and delivered thee out of the hand of Saul. What David had done, when he first seen that, he didn't see no wrong in it. He thought that was just all right that he done it. You hear somebody else done it, and how dare he do such a thing? And this man told that story to him to show him, well, you're the one that done it. You're the one. You was okay with what you done, but you're quick to judge somebody else. We're doing basically the same thing that Jesus done, and I'm guilty of it too. To say I've not done that, to judge somebody, and then the Lord will show me, or who are you to judge? Look what you have done. You're no better. So I mean, He gives us that scripture to show us that we're quick to judge, and we're quick to okay the things that we do, and then we see somebody else do it. And that's the reason we say to let our light shine. And that's how we can show God or show people God's love and bring them to the Lord. And it's not always by our actions or by our words and giving them scripture, but by our actions, by how they see us live our lives. I've done the same thing, trying to talk to people and stuff, and they won't hear the words that you're telling them, and sometimes, especially the scriptures of the Bible, and you're one of the Bible thumpers. And so that kind of turns them against it, but they see you have you live in a Christian-like way. They're like, hey, this man's always happy and stuff. And, where does he get that? I want to be a part of that. And so that's, again, but we're all always guilty of it, judge people. And here Nathan was sent to show David, you're quick to judge, but you is no better.
Appreciate that this morning. We just gotta try to live the best we can for Him, and that's all that matters this morning. And try to help the ones that's out there that are struggling with these things. And
I'm thankful to be brought up in church and was taught about God, and I learned through going to church and stuff that I had to be born again to enter into the kingdom of heaven. And I've said this before: Satan feels good leading people astray and making them have these false beliefs. And I've heard so many people when their loved one passes on, they're in heaven looking down now. Once we enter into the kingdom of heaven, there's no looking back. We don't want to look back on the evil of the things of this world. what he's talking about. But Satan's good, he puts that false belief in them that everybody just automatically goes to heaven.
We all don't. Like I said, the one that says in there, and I talked about it, that do good things, and well, God can't turn me away for doing these good things. Well, yeah, He can. If you'd never been saved and lived for Him, you might have been living good for yourself and helping people, and good thing you help people, but that's not what's going to get you to heaven this morning. But that's all I've got.